the best automotive information for your vehicle. Bumper to Bumper, helping you and your car feel better. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
It's cold, Dave. It's cold. Good morning, everybody. And that's a chilly, it's not even chilly, it's still downright cold Saturday morning. Welcome to Bumper Radio. I'm Matt Allen along with Dave Riccio, and together we are your KTAR car guys. As usual, here every Saturday from 11 to noon on 92.3 KTAR. And at Bumper Radio, we are here helping you, the motoring public, the car owner, the motorist, the driver, have a better overall car experience, whether it's a car question, car problem, or you want to buy one. If you've got questions, we've got answers, so we encourage you to give us a call, or you can even text. You can get involved with the show and send us messages and communicate at 411-923, and of course the phone number 602-277-5827, 602-277 KTAR. And on the Bumper to Bumper roadmap today, we've got an email of the week, open phones as always, and what should be on your auto repair invoice? I don't know, Dave, what should be there?
Well, as Cooper said, the good news is it's in writing. The bad news is it's in writing. And we, when we're at the Better Business Bureau, looking at cases where there's complaint and resolution needs to happen, we're reading the paperwork. And the paperwork we find in most cases is so poor, we can't even decipher what took place.
Well, I want to back it up a little bit. So what you're talking about, Dave, when we're at the Better Business Bureau, we're not in there getting beat with the whip.
Right.
We are in there as the Automotive Advisory Committee. That's a group of you and I and a handful of other shop owners that on a monthly basis or every other month now.
Bi-monthly.
Things have calmed down a little bit. It used to be monthly, but the complaints have come down. So we're going to be the mediator of this complaint between the consumer and the shop, and we want to do what we think is right, what really happened during this transaction. And even if you're not having that kind of problem, what's the purpose of the repair invoice? It's a document. It's a journal, right?
Well, it should be a document of what happened, how the experience went down. And this is not only to consumers what you should expect to see on an invoice, but also to shops, what you guys should be putting on invoices. Most shops, I know, they do a good job of it, of really covering. And really, it's the four big things are the 4 C's. And what the 4 C's are going to be the customer concern. That's what you're experiencing in your words. So it'll usually read something like customer states, engine running rough.
So I'm going to come in, Dave, and I'm the customer, and I'm going to say, you know, I've got this Trailblazer or whatever.
Sorry, sir, we're not going to service you.
Right. Boy.
Okay, so be the
anyway,
customer.
I'll say that. I'll reserve comment. So I'm the customer, and Dave, I have my car's driving, and it seems like it does it mostly when it's cold, but it will still do it all the time. And the check engine light comes on, and the car just kind of stumbles and doesn't run real well.
So that should be documented right there on the invoice.
So what
That's
would you write
the
down?
Customer concern. Customer states vehicle when running cold runs rough. And
You're going to say what they said.
I'm just gonna put it in their words what they said. So that would be C number 1, customer concern. That's why they came to the shop. That always needs to be on the invoice. When we're reviewing these cases on the advisory committee, we have no idea what they came in from. It just says alternator and labor. Why did you sell them an alternator? I want to know what happened. What are the steps? So the first C is customer concern. The second C is going to be cause for the concern, or the
findings of
the findings, the diagnosis.
The first C, though, too, that's so the technician knows what's going on. Why is he looking at this car?
Yeah.
Kind of like when you make the doctor's appointment. The doctor's got to know, why are you presenting today?
Well, one of the things is sometimes people get a repair, and that's not even what they wanted fixed. And so that I force our technicians, what did the customer ask for? What does the customer want? And then go right back in the customer's words, what they are looking for from this trip to the auto shop. So that's very important. And then basically the cause for concern. What is the cause for the problem? So that might be in your Trailblazer situation, something like this. Technician scanned the computer, found a diagnostic trouble code for cylinder misfire number 3. So he knows, hey, I've got a cylinder number 3 that's not working right. Did a compression test, found a coil that is breaking down cold. So that's the the problem that he found. So that's the cause. And then the correction is going to be to replace that number 3 cylinder coil and then retest. Because at the shop, and this is one thing I like to explain to people, is the shop, we know we have a bad link in the chain, but we don't know how the engine overall runs because right now we've got a bad coil. We have to fix that bad coil and then retest to make sure the engine is clear of any other problems.
So the correction will be the technician's recommended course of action to take care of what he found the problem relating to what you came in about.
Correct. And right alongside that recommendation should be the price of what that recommendation costs to get it resolved. So parts and labor. I like to include sales tax and everything so there's no surprises. Oh, yeah, that didn't include sales tax. I think the sales tax should be included when the price is quoted so you're not cut off guard.
I was just reading, we were trying to do a little bit of research, and I searched what should be on my auto repair invoice. In the California, that's like communist country over there, they have the Bureau of Automotive Repair, which in some cases is probably very good, but in some places completely gets in the way of good people doing good business.
Correct.
They make rules that cover the bad people, whether it's a consumer. There are bad consumers and bad shops, but one of them, there was just ridiculous, all the different things that you had to follow.
Right. It was over the top. And what the reason for this topic is that I know that good walls make for good neighbors. There's a wall between our house. I'll go over and I'll knock on his door and I'll say hi and we may get together and barbecue. But there's still a wall. There's still a boundary. And it's good for the shop and it's good for the consumer. So if there is a problem, we can do what right is because we can always go back and see what happened last time we worked on the car.
Well, okay. And then so that's the corrections. But then you would be surprised, everybody, when we look at these Better Business Bureau cases and not just BBB cases. I don't care if it's a customer brings in their records so we can find out what's been happening in your car. Name, Mrs. Jones, or they put down Sally, and that's it. We want your name. We need to know who we're doing with. We're going to have an exchange of money somehow. So I think I have the right to know where you live or how I find you if something goes wrong with that transaction.
You're not buying movie tickets. There should be an address on the bill.
Yeah, well, plus I want to send you a thank you card maybe or something goes haywire. Maybe there's a recall from Michelin on the tires we put on your car, and we've got to get a hold of you because we've been warned that some tires that we sold or purchased have a defect maybe. License plate, the vehicle identifiers, it's just not a blue Buick.
It's got a VIN, vehicle identification number. That should be on the invoice.
We want to
mileage in, mileage out, date in, date out.
I love mileage. People get an engine overhaul and you see mileage in 192,000, mileage out 192,000. We didn't even test drive it.
Right.
How's that working out?
Makes me feel good.
Well, but it's a consistency. I think it shows the shop being diligent about the steps in their processes, in their level of not awareness, I guess there is some awareness, but willing to document and put everything down. I know at my shop, you come into Virginia Auto Service and I tell Tim or Robert, this thing is a journal. If it's 2 years from now and somebody needs to pick up this piece of paper, they should pick this up and read it and know exactly what happened from start to finish. Why the car was here, what we did and why we did it, and then a confirmation that it was correct.
Well, that's the 4C. So we've got customer concern, we've got cause for concern, that's a diagnosis, and then we've got the recommendation, which is the correction, and then the fourth one is confirmation. So we installed this new coil on cylinder number 3, road tested vehicle, 10 miles, taking it through the full operating range from cold to hot, and it works great. Good to go. Further testing confirms it's fixed.
And sometimes it's a 2 test drive thing. I mean, we'll work on a car. Unfortunately, maybe the people leave, and the next day the light comes on, or they, it's a 2-step test drive. You can go back and look and say, "Gosh, we drove the car 7 miles." But sometimes there's 2 drive cycles. You have to cycle the key.
We do 3 test drives on every major repair. 3 test drives. So the guy that installs the transmission, he goes for 3 miles. He puts it back up in the air. Then we have somebody else go 5 miles on the highway, 5 miles on the surface street, bring it back. And then the guy that checked it in, he's the guy that's going to ultimately confirm we fixed the problem. So he goes and drives it again because he's the perfect person to confirm it. So
now, a lot of shop management software is made to be very easy so that it's fast and efficient. So when you get that invoice from the shop and they told you one thing over the telephone, the line item shouldn't just read diagnosis, $99. What did you find? This is a lot when we were talking earlier, David. It's kind of like the medical chart. It's in there. Everything's down.
And they should go over it with you when you leave. And a lot of people, they don't really care, what's the bottom line and, that type of thing. And that sounds about like what you told me on the phone. But you know what? One of the frustrating things is, I had some work done on my car. What'd you have done? Not really sure.
But I spent $1,000.
But I spent $1,000. We've got Daniel and Randy in open lines at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTR. And you can also text us at 411-923. You're listening to Bumper Radio.